Hey folks, I wanted to do a little review of the LaserOx Frosthaven Insert. Um, I haven't yet actually punched everything to put everything in its place in the insert. I did finish basically putting the insert together. That's kind of what this review is going to cover. It's not going to cover the placement of things. I'll get to that in a different video. But I just kind of want to briefly talk about the experience of putting this together. Um, they say that it is press fit, and that is true in most cases. Um, there was not anything that was so tight or so loose that I couldn't get it to fit just by pressing on it. Um, I obviously did have to use a hobby knife to kind of clean up the edges on something. And I'm just staring at this and seeing some things that I missed. Um, but clean up the edges, with the joints where it was attached to the tray um, for the different pieces. I did have to use a hobby knife to actually cut some of the pieces out. So some of the larger pieces, basically, if you're not familiar with wooden inserts, they're essentially laser cut out, except for 2, maybe 3 points of connection to the actual main board. And then the recommended / best way to do that is to, if there's 2 points, you basically rock the piece back and forth until it breaks those 2 points. Some of the larger pieces were connected at 3 or 4 points, and I didn't feel comfortable. They were well connected, I guess is what I will say, and I did not feel comfortable just applying pressure. I did do that in one case, and you could see it in the live stream. It does actually cause some of the wood. It doesn't split, but it pulls off like a little top piece of the wood where that connection point is, because I just applied pressure rather than using the hobby knife to cut that joint in half. So I did have to do that on several of the larger pieces. The smaller pieces, the little, like the side pieces and the little itty bitty pieces, were generally only connected on 2 spots, and they were connected in such a way that you were able to easily rock it back and forth until those broke free. So that's good. That being said, you are using, a hobby knife to cut through wood, so, maybe use an older one that's it doesn't need to be too terribly sharp. You just basically need something somewhat sharp that you can apply pressure to get in between the where the laser cut didn't finish, basically. What I'm saying is, don't use a brand new hobby knife, because you're going to dull it really quick doing that for this. What else? Okay, the trays themselves. So when I talk about trays, I'm not talking about the finished product. I'm talking about the tray itself. Like, there's 13, 14 trays of the pieces where they're laser cut. That's what I say when I say tray. That's what I'm referring to. The trays themselves were pretty well laid out. It was done in such a way that after the first 2 or 3 boxes, I was able to get rid of trays. So all the pieces were completely punched out of those trays. Versus some other inserts I've gone through, you'll have 10 trays, and box 1 uses a part from tray 1, tray 4, tray 6, and tray 7. And then box 2 is the same way. And instead of trying to consolidate all the pieces for a box on the least number of trays so that you can get rid of those more quickly, and it's easier to find the other trays that you still have to go search for. The trays were labeled, 1 of 13, 2 of 13, etc. They were easy to find and locate. In the instruction booklet for the assembly, it lays it out very clearly. Which tray, you have tray 1 of 13. It shows you the overview of the tray, what the tray looks like, where the pieces are, and then it highlights the pieces that you actually need and labels them A, B, C, D, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's very nice. It's very easy to follow these instructions. They were very well done. The only issue I had with the instructions was, where was it? What box was it? Was it no, it wasn't the large card tray. It wasn't the envelope tray. It wasn't the stack card tray. It wasn't the small card tray. I think it was this. Was it the status tokens? No, it was the obstacle box. My bottom, so it says, you want D on tray 8 of 13, you want the D, the big square, that's going to be your base, and this is for the bottom. That square actually on my, that piece on my tray was actually labeled top. So I had 2 tops, but it was the correct piece. Like, it did have the correct cutouts on it. It was just mislabeled as top instead of bottom. All the other pieces were labeled appropriately. Top was labeled top. Tray 3 was labeled tray 3. And tray 2 was labeled tray 2. But that one piece was just mislabeled. There was also, I think that was the same one, there was also a second issue. Is that the one that has the... No. Wait, maybe it is. Yeah, it is. One of these one of these pictures, I think it's the first one. I think they're the side pieces that have the little hooks, so you can basically interlock these obstacle boxes together. They are mislabeled. They're either mislabeled in the diagram showing you what they are, or they're mislabeled in the actual the diagram that shows you how they go together. Basically, if you use them the way that it says, so these pieces on the outside, on like the back side of them, will be labeled, and they'll have the number of the tray. So it'll have numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, depending on which tray it is. I think for the bottom one, they're mislabeled one of the 2 spots, but basically if you put it together the way that it says that it should go together, your number 4 is going to be on the inside of the tray, and you're not going to be able to see it from the outside. So you're not going to know. I mean, you will know because it'll be the only one not labeled, but then you'll have to take it all apart, etc. and depending on whether you glued it or not, you may or may not be able to do that. Now, so I'll get to gluing in a second, but basically that is pretty much, the instruction booklet did a great job. It shows you where everything goes. So in the obstacle tray, it shows you specifically what pieces go where. Same thing for the monster box. So depending whether you have the monster box or the tuck box, so it says glue use is recommended for the monster box. I actually did not glue any of the monster box. I just kind of pushed it together, and I'll get to that in a second. But it does show you your monster box, where everything, or how they stack, and then it gives you the storage plan of where the pieces go. You also have the instructions if you got the tuck box version. So I didn't do this because I did not get the tuck box version. I have the actual monster tray. And it gives you the layout. You have a quick guide in the back, and how to store the monster box and stuff. Same with the cards. So in the card trays, it tells you, like for the large card tray, it tells you which cards go where. Envelope tray, which envelopes, where the cards go and where the envelopes go, etc. Small card tray, or the stack card tray, small card tray, same thing, where everything goes. Very easily laid out, very easy to follow. Very well done rule book. It has the font for Frosthaven in it. Very impressed with this. My insert actually came with a coupon code for a LaserOx insert, and I had not planned on... There wasn't an insert basically that I've been wanting to get for a game, but just based on how well this is done and how well it went together, I'm going to use that coupon code. and just get an insert for a game that I need an insert for, that I don't have an insert for. I might not need the insert for it, but because they did such a good job with this, I'm willing to give them more money. So that is the instruction booklet. Very well done, like I said. Now, I only glued one thing, and that was on this tray. This is one of the player trays, so you put your character cards and your mini and all that stuff in there. It's got the clear acrylic lid that snaps in place. This corner piece here, I did have to glue this in because it was a loose fit. So that's the only thing I actually glued out of this whole set. I may have to glue this box. I'm not sure yet. I think if I wanted to, I can pull it apart, obviously, but it's not loosely falling apart. I don't think I can, just do that, or when I get stuff in it, I don't think just reaching in and grabbing it and pulling it out is going to cause it to come undone. And then there's one other box, and I'll get to that in a second. That is the same situation, basically. It's just a square box, which, these are the ones you should probably glue because, it's just a box. There's not a lot of joints to kind of hold it together. But I didn't glue it. Like I said, the only thing I glued was that one corner piece. The insert does come with a little tube of glue from LaserOx. Dries in 5 minutes. Dries clear or transparent. Everything went together fairly well. There were some pieces that I did have to apply some muscle, and there were some pieces that just easily just went together. Luckily, none of those pieces were actually the pieces on the outside edges. They were all the pieces that were in the middle that would have other pieces like locking them and holding them in place. So I didn't have to glue those pieces. If it was one of the outside pieces, like one of the edges, I probably would have had to glue it, which I did on that one, that piece right there, that one corner piece. Everything else snapped together pretty well. Everything lined up. The only thing that might not have lined up is on this monster box. The lid is very tight, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, but it's because this piece here, once I got it in, is leaning slightly to the right. So it's kind of leaned a little bit to the right, and it doesn't sit. You kind of have to put this corner in, then slide that box down, and then it slides shut. But that's basically it. The only thing that really didn't work, and this was probably just more of my error of putting it together. I've tried to bend it over, but I'm not overly applying pressure because I don't want to break anything. It is what it is, so I just have to remember that I have to kind of put this corner in first, then lay it over, and then slide it shut. Which basically means this lid isn't going to come off by itself, which is good. Everything else, this slides forward and up. So you have all these trays, right? And they just kind of interlock all together like that. They all slide. They don't slide easily, but they're not loose, basically is what I'm saying. So it's not like I'm fighting with them to get them shut. But I'm also, they're not going to just undo themselves. That one might. That one's a little iffy. But they all kind of snap together and go together nice. So that's the monster box. So that's instead of the tuck box for the cards, monster cards, there's these trays. They'll be all laid out. You did see the player caddies. So here's the last one. They kind of all sit on top of each other. Kind of interlock a little bit, somewhat similar. So that's nice. Those all go together. Here's another set of, well, this one is a card tray, so this is just the bottom. But here is, this is the obstacle tray. So my only issue with this one is this does not lock. I don't know if it was supposed to lock, but it does not. It slides, and there's a slot here for it to go in, and it can't slide up, but if you tilt it, it slides right off and right out. So I don't know if that was just a design flaw, overlook, or whatever. That being said, these pieces do stack. They are a little tighter than what the monster box is. and a little more difficult to take apart, but it works. It goes back together, slides shut, and this is the tray and boxes where, oh come on, there we go, where all your terrain, basically your terrain pieces, your obstacles and stuff are going to go. That's not there. That one's a tight fit on top of that one. But again, this is super easy to slide in and out, and if I just tilt it, it slides right off by itself. So little disappointed in that, but other than that, that's not terrible. I'm assuming it's going to be sitting in the box like this, so it's not going to really be sliding. The other kind of one that goes together is the token tray. So these lids, I'm going to say they snap in place, but it's basically just pieces of wood that are loose, and they spread them out when they get pushed in, and then it allows enough pressure and friction that the lid just doesn't pop out with without applying force. But basically, you have these boxes that are these two boxes that sit inside this one. This all just worked. I was a little worried that like maybe the dimensions if they weren't perfect, they would be too loose or would be too big, but they were actually the right size. And then the tray goes on, and snaps right in place. That's not going to come off with pressure, so all your little chits and tokens are going to be nicely held there. Here is a larger box. This is the box where all the character minis go in. This is not glued, but it does have enough connection points that it's not, I don't think it's going to come loose. This is the money box, along with there's cards that go here. I don't think this is deep enough for all the money, but it might be. Well, I guess I have the metal coins, so I guess if I keep them in that bag and just shove it in there, it'll work. Talked about this little box. This little box is to actually hold the standee bases, so all the yellows. Disappointed there's not another, two pieces to separate yellows from whites, from blues, from whatever the other color is. Here's the envelope tray. Surprisingly enough, these tiny pieces here were actually very tight fit, so I did not glue them. And there's a nice little laser engraved or burnt, I don't know if that's etched, what you want to call that, diorama, or not diorama, the scene right there. Then we have another tray with a locking lid. This is the health token tray. Went together fairly easy. It's labeled, 100s, 20s, 10s, 3s, and 1s. And then, like I said, the lid goes right on, presses right in, and it's good to go. Then we have another card tray here. Pretty well done. There is one piece of acrylic right here, and that's because you're going to have some things that slide into the side over here. And then this was the other box that I wasn't sure about gluing. So this has a lid like that. And it rotates, and there's a little deck of cards that you put in here. This is the bosses. Basically, all the bosses go in here. Their boss cards go in here, and you close it, and it's good to go. One of the sides of this I wasn't sure about, but I think it was this back side here, because there's only 4 connection points, but it doesn't seem as loose as I remember it being. I might have just been overly worrying. But that is the boss's tray. Snaps closed, keeps it shut. So that's nice thing about that. So that's all the trays. You might need like a little rubber mallet or a little rubber hammer to pound some of this stuff in place. I basically use just brute force with my thumbs and forefingers to squeeze stuff together. But I did lay it on a piece of, I have on the railing of my table right here. I laid it up here, and then I was able to sort of apply the pressure appropriately to get it to conform and to the tabs to slide all the way in. The card trays do have removable dividers, and they are very nice in terms of sliding in and out. It's not like they're a tough fit or anything. They're loose enough that they're easy to get in and out, but they are wide enough that they aren't too loose and they're just going to come out. I think that's it. Like I said, I haven't actually started punching everything to put it into here. Supposedly, the card trays do fit the sleeves. I will find that out as well. And I will probably I'm going to most likely do another video once I get everything punched and in its rightful spot and in the box, and I'll do like a unboxing. I've already kind of done a little bit of an unboxing originally, but how everything fits together in the Frosthaven box, how it fits together in the insert itself, what could have been done better, I guess, in that regard. I did already, so you are supposed to use the one piece I did not show you is the box that this insert comes in is supposed to be the box you use for all the map pieces, the map tiles. I'm actually not going to use that. I actually bought the accordion map storage box from the Folded Space from their insert. So their insert basically comes in two pieces. It comes in all this stuff like this that would go in the box, and then there's the map. The map box is sold separately because it's accordion style filing, but it also has labels on it as to pieces 1 through 3 are here, pieces 2 or 4 through 6 are over on this section. So it's very easy to find what pieces you need. The map storage for LaserOx is basically an empty box. You throw all your pieces in there, and then when you have to pull them out, you have to fish for them. So, I mean, it's not going to take you a terrible amount of time to do that, but it is just a little bit more quicker with the Folded Space. So I went ahead and went with that. The Folded Space one is also blue, so it'll match this box, versus the box that this comes in is just white. So it doesn't really kind of fit the aesthetic, which is odd because the rulebook was so well done in the aesthetic of Frosthaven, but they didn't apply that to the outside of the box that the insert comes in. So yeah, that is my review of the LaserOx wooden insert for Frosthaven. It is made of birch wood. I can't remember if I mentioned that before, but they make a specific point of mentioning that in the instruction guide. So that's that. Thanks for watching.